Who is Eric Lee? When did you first realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? How did you get your first customer? Are you ready for some quick fire questions? Welcome to the JOD Pod, a micro podcast where we interview CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, authors, and coaches. Today, we are very lucky to be joined by Eric Lee, the founder of Savvy Saturdays. Great to have you with us today, Eric.
Yeah, great to be on this podcast.
Awesome. Listen, for those of us who don't know Eric Lee, who is Eric Lee?
Hello, everyone. What is up? My name's Eric, and I'm a software engineer based in Austin. That's my day job, but at heart, I'm an entrepreneur. Where in college I did several startups, and I'm also an audiobook fanatic. I have over 350 audiobooks in my library, and because of the amount of content that I read and digest, I'm also kind of a content strategist. And I think with that, with the amount of content that I consume, I decided to start a newsletter called Savvy Saturdays in order to share it.
Man, that's awesome, Eric. I love your energy. I think it's awesome. When did you first realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I think back in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in the future, but one thing that I knew I wanted to do was create stuff. Like everything I did, I went into going to programming because I just loved creating a lot of different hacky ideas. Like I created a website that would take in people's interests, and then it would allow people to use AI to decide what recipes that people could cook based on some machine learning algorithms. So I did that. I've done a lot of different, I won several hackathons and competitions where I've built ideas from the ground up and then presented it. So I really loved just being able to take an idea to MVP, minimum viable product, and then just really selling it to people. It's been something that I've been doing since college, yeah.
That's the important step that I think you've just mentioned there, is selling it to people. A lot of people have ideas. A lot of people talk about ideas. Less people actually put those into action. And action only really gets validated when you get a customer. So how did you get your first customer?
My first customer. The stuff that I do, none of it really, I aim to try to sell it for money. But I think when it comes to validation, like one startup that I did was called Crash Cook-Off. It was basically commercializing Iron Chef cook-offs as team building activities for enterprise customers. And so that was something that I did in college, tried to start up. And when I was pitching the idea to several different entrepreneurs and several different people who had teams in companies, a lot of them were willing to pay money for it before we even had the idea out. And so when we were even doing test runs, we had people pay us just to do the trial runs. And unfortunately, with all pilot programs, it's not like the best experience. But I think the point of getting something out into public and just being able to iterate and validate kind of the idea that you have, I think that was the first time that I realized that, you don't really need to have everything all fleshed together, but as long as you really meet kind of the customer's needs, meet what people really want, you can go pretty far.
That's awesome. So you pitched the idea of Iron Chef for team building for teams, yeah? And people were paying you just off the idea. You had done none of the logistics. You'd figured nothing out in real terms, yeah?
No, I think people were down to pay, and I think when we did our first trial run, people paid for our groceries and such. Well, we just said, here's how much it costs, so please pay us for that. I think we had a lot of kind of desire for what we had. It's pretty fun.
That's cool. Look, one of the things that we're trying to do here is inspire other entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs to actually take action and build something and create something for themselves. And I think getting your first customer, pitching that and pitching it as an MVP, which is something I know you talk about a lot, is actually a really interesting concept that people think that things have got to be perfect, and that you have to have, even for a podcast you have to have the best quality camera or best quality audio equipment, and you don't. You just need to hit a button and go and take action.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly, all the startups that I've worked on, so my background is technical, it's software engineering. But all the first two startups I did, they were both food startups, like the entertainment for Crash Cook-Off. And I tried to do a coffee stand, kind of commercialized all across college campuses with UT Austin, which is where I graduated from. Just like having that as the pilot place. And I did not know anything about coffee. I actually didn't really enjoy coffee. My co-founder was the one who loved coffee, and like we were just figuring out things on the fly. So yeah, I totally resonate with that. You don't need to have everything all together. You just have to be willing and committed to the idea, and then iterate through the process.
Nice. You don't like coffee?
I know. I love coffee now. Before in college, because I always tied coffee to like difficult times, I never actually had it just for I guess for fun. It would always be late night drinking coffee. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. So Eric, what are you working on now? Tell me about Savvy Saturdays.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Savvy Saturdays is a newsletter that I started back in January before the pandemic hit for the United States, and it's a newsletter to help people level up in less than 5 minutes every week. I share savvy concepts on business, relationships, life, all of these things that I aggregate from audiobooks that I listen to, like really top books that cover business, cover productivity and self-improvement, and I just condense that into a small snippet that people can just skim and read and just take away and apply into their lives. And I've been doing that every week for almost over 1.5 years. Yeah, I've been doing that since beginning of January, so it's kind of crazy.
Man, that's fantastic. And your growth on that podcast, on that newsletter, the thing that people always look at with newsletters is how many subs you have.
Yeah.
What kind of direction is that going in? Where was it, and where at what point in a year and a half did things start actually picking up for that?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think when I first started, I was completely fine. Like, I think when I started, I was really set on being okay if I was just writing to myself, writing to an audience of one. But I really wanted to kind of see where it could go, see where it could expand. So I shared it to friends and family. So that was kind of the base startup. And then I remember sharing it on social platforms with people as I was trying to figure out what is my selling point, what is it that I can provide and offer. And so I think I spent the first year just really kind of developing my product, developing what is it that a value that I can give to people, while also injecting my own personality into it, because I think that was something that I felt was really important if I was going to do it long term, that I would be real, who I am, but while doing something that I really loved and enjoyed, while also giving value to people and really helping others. So I think for the first year, I just kind of figured out the product, and so the subscriber growth, I think, was about like a couple subscribers every month. I was every time I got a subscriber, it was just pure joy, because I was like, man, like, what? You don't have to follow it. I don't know why you're subscribed to it, but I'm so happy, And then after a year, just this beginning of this year, 2021, I joined into the same entrepreneurship community, that you are in, and I think through it, I was really focusing more on growth this year, just really focusing more on how to present it to an audience, as well as the different channels I was part of. And I think because I was connected with the community, as well as I already had a really good, in my opinion, product. I mean, I love my newsletter. I could read it by myself all the time. Like, the growth just kind of went into a very kind of exponential graph. So at the beginning of January, I had 100 subscribers, and within the past several months, it went in 6 months to about it's at 200 now, 210, and like it's going to grow, probably hit 300 by the end of the summer. So I think in less than 6 months. And so Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Pretty cool.
I really like the idea. So I really love, Savvy Saturdays, and I love what you're doing with it, and I love you've got a very mature approach to it, and you're so consistent with it as well, getting it out. And I know you've got a lot of other things going on. One of the things I really like about it is that you're going to be going on and doing great things, I'm sure, in your career, and you're going to build something, and you're going to start up some, have different ideas that you build on. But the fact that you've got that newsletter that's growing and growing and growing is you're building up a fan base. And I think a lot of people that think about starting a business or thinking about wanting to be an entrepreneur or a founder of something, they start with the product first, and then they think about distribution second. Whereas actually what you're doing is you're building up a little fan base so that when you actually then do productize something, you've already got a group of people that are listening to you, that are bought into your ideas and actually want you to succeed. And that's going to help you, catapult whatever you do in the future, going forwards. And I think as a meta lesson to take from the way that you work and what you're doing, I think is really important for anybody out there that's thinking about going into business is create a platform, be that a newsletter or a YouTube channel or something like that, where you're just sharing your ideas. It doesn't have to be polished, eh? It just sharing your ideas and getting it out there, and things will improve as you iterate. As you say, the first newsletter you sent out, it was to you and maybe a couple of friends. And then each newsletter since then, I'm sure you've iterated and you've improved and you've changed the way you tell your stories. And I think that's how you learn, is you learn in public. Eric, after my very enthused hype of what you're doing, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Yeah, I'm down for it. Yes.
You're down. Good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite app or SaaS product that you use every day?
I love Audible. I love Audible. Audiobooks all done.
You've got 350 books on Audible.
I do, yes.
So you must be buying credits as well as just using the monthly tokens, yeah?
No, actually, I actually interned at Audible a summer in my college years, and they have a perk there. If anyone wants to work at a place and get audiobooks for free,
Is that
if you work for
lifetime?
Audible.
Is that lifetime
It
or
is
just whilst you were there?
Well, it was supposed to expire after I ended my internship, but it hasn't expired yet,
Oh
and
man. And now you're putting that out into public, so everybody knows you've still got this perk that they might
Yeah.
turn off at any moment.
yeah,
Oh,
I know.
wow.
Oh, maybe you need to cut that out.
We'll cut that bit. Oh
Yeah.
man, Eric, that's cool. So out of all of those books and all the books that you've read, what is your most recommended book?
Yeah, there's so many books that I've read that are really good, but I think one that I think really helped me a lot in life, especially after reading it, was the Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. It's a book on just really not only like the dichotomy of holding two ideas that are very opposing to each other and still being able to like maintain it. So like it was really kind of mind-blowing, revolutionary for me. Like I noticed that the one I could recognize like how to achieve a certain amount of balance in life was really holding dichotomies of different concepts in life together, and that's kind of what influenced a lot of like what I write with my newsletter and such. So yeah.
It's incredible. Like those two guys, you couldn't imagine more butch, terrifying to walk into, down a dark alleyway, and yet the concepts that they talk about are, so nuanced, and they can be applied to people that are trying to find balance in their lives as well. It's that's a really good recommendation. Thanks for that, Eric. Who's your favorite YouTuber or podcaster at the moment?
No, yeah. I mean, I love watching entertaining YouTube videos, but there's one YouTuber kind of group. They're called the Colin and Smear Show. I've kind of discovered them recently, and they're a YouTube channel that kind of covers the story of creators, like big creators like Mr. Beast, different influencers, different people who utilize. They kind of do an inside look on just how creators went from where they were at the beginning to like where they are now, and how they utilize their audience and their different platforms to sell product, but also to advance a vision. And I just really love it because not only are they doing that with other people, but they're doing that with their own show. They're being very transparent. They're learning in public. They're sharing in public. Recently, they released a video on NFTs, and the whole video was them creating their own NFT to sell and sharing the story about it. So they're really great. I love their YouTube channel.
That's awesome, and we'll definitely put the links in the show notes. Eric, who do you think is going to be the next Elon Musk?
Yeah, no, I remember at the beginning of the show, I was like, oh, who is it? Who is it? No, actually, but as we were talking, I remembered a guy that I actually look up to a lot. His name is Gary Tann. He owns a venture capital firm that is pretty renowned in San Francisco, and I love not only what he's doing with his full-time job, but kind of how he utilizes. He has a YouTube channel where he shares startup founder stories. He shares about companies in his portfolio, and he just kind of dives deep into different concepts that startup owners all can utilize and realize. And one thing that I love the most is that he uses his YouTube channel as a lead generator so that he can find startups that his company can invest into. And then recently he posted a tweet, I think a month or two ago, when Coinbase IPO'd, how they had like a 3,000 time return because he invested in them when they're like 39 cents a share, and now they're like, I think, over $100, $300. So it's really insane. He's like really pioneering ideas and using his platform to advance startup founders, so that anyone who wants to be a startup founder, they can be one. Yeah.
I think Gary Tann's YouTube channel is so few subscribers for the actual value that it has. Like it's really good value, and it's definitely somewhere to head to. And like, he's a billionaire already, but what he's doing is really good for the world. I think he seems like a really great guy as well, Gary Tann. And where can people find you online, Eric? Where's the best place to tap into your mind via the digital social medias?
No, yeah. So you can find me on my newsletter. It's ericlee.substack.com. I use Substack currently. Great product. But also you can find me on Twitter at EricJMLee. I'm pretty sure Jod, you'll put all the links down below. And those are the two main places that you can find me at.
Fantastic. Eric, thank you. There we have it. Eric Lee runs a newsletter called Savvy Saturdays, where he helps people level up their life via self-improvement, business, and relationships in just 5 minutes a week. You should definitely all head there and subscribe to it immediately. He managed to get his first customer through MVPing and pre-selling an Iron Chef to enterprises for team building. What an idea. I love the pre-selling. I love the MVPing, Eric. That's awesome. Eric's favourite app is Audible, where he has a perk where he can download unlimited audio books, which will probably get switched off after this recording. His most recommended book is The Dichotomy of Leadership by Leif Babin and Jocko Willink. He loves watching the Colin and Samir show on YouTube, and he thinks that we should be keeping an eye on Gary Tann. He might be the next Elon Musk that we should all be keeping an eye on. And you can find out more about Eric and Savvy Saturdays by heading to his Substack link, which is ericlee.substack.com. I'll put the links in the show note, and you should definitely all follow Eric on Twitter. Head to EricJMLee on Twitter. Again, I'll put it in the show notes. Eric, thanks for joining us today on the JOD Pod. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, yes. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on today's interview with Eric on the JOD Pod. To ensure that you don't miss out on any of these fantastic interviews, make sure that you play the YouTube game, you subscribe, you hit the bell, you hit like, you leave a comment. all these things help out Eric. They help me out. They help out other future entrepreneurs and founders that we interview on the show. And if you've got any questions for Eric about content, strategy, his newsletter, selling MVPs, pre-selling, leave them in the comments below. Eric will answer every single one of them. I will make sure that he does. And also, it's a nice thing to do. It makes all of our lives just that little bit better. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Yeah. So please, hopefully you felt inspired after Eric's stories today, and that you think that you could go out and start a newsletter or build something and pre-sell it. So please go out and start something, build something, and inspire the next generation. Thanks for joining us on the JOD Pod. If you enjoyed this interview, why don't you check out some of these other interviews that we've done on the JOD Pod. More inspirational CEOs, coaches, entrepreneurs, founders, and authors. I'm sure there's something here that will inspire you to build something new.